Well, what's up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets'd podcast. Full transparency, I'm going to say this early. I'm going to say it quickly. This is a voicemail episode. You're going to hear me specifically be moany and whiny, and I'm telling you right now, this is the last episode. I'm done with it after this. When I told James at the game, this is the last of your hearing of me. I will be realistic. I will be truthful in next episodes. Not previous. That's not how time works. In the future episodes, I'll be realistic and truthful. But this is the last you'll hear of me being whiny. That being said, we have a bunch of voicemails. Shout out to everybody on Instagram who reach out to us at Mets'd on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. If you want to be featured in future episodes, it's a great place to do it. We're going to listen to what you guys have to say. We have done extensive research. We have got some stats that are going to be shocking. And yes, they all lead to me wanting Eric Chavez fired. If in case anyone was wondering, that's where that's my bias right now. I can't stand to see him or Jeremy Barnes continue to be working for this team right now. But hey, that's why we have the voicemails. Let's hear what the people got to say. Let's see what they have. We'll drop our stats and information to really open your guys' eyes to how bad it currently is. Because as much as Carlos Mendoza and everybody in the Mets organization wants to say things are okay, these are good hitters, they're going to figure it out, and I half believe it. I half believe it. What we've seen so far this year is truly staggering and shocking. And when we take the numbers and we tell you them out loud, you're going to be pretty surprised too. Shout out to everybody who's going to take these stats and run with them on Twitter tomorrow. James, go ahead. Drop us a first voicemail. Who do we got? What do we got going on?
First voicemail from friend of the program, Yuri. Got a voicemail coming in from Yuri over here.
Yuri,
and this one, he sent this in at 3:30, which had to be 9 minutes after you put the story up on Twitter, maybe? On Instagram.
Yeah.
So here's from Yuri before the game even ended on Wednesday.
Yo, what's up, guys? I don't even know why I'm sending a voice message. I really got no words for this team right now. I hope this is at least like a wake-up call, but I've thought that like about the last couple of losses. I've been thinking that since I got swept by the Padres, but I don't know, man. I think Chavez has to get fired now. I mean, even if it's just as a sending a message type deal, probably won't. But yeah, they need to wake up. They need to play better, but I don't have the answers. I think nobody has the answers. I just think they need to toughen the fuck up, play better, have a better attitude, because a couple of the shots from inside the dugout this game, everyone's looking down in the dumps. Honestly, useless voice memo, but they suck right now. Need to get better. Should play better. Hit the fucking baseball hard.
Not the useless voicemail, Yuri. That's a great voicemail, because I think you're right about this. Mark and I didn't get a lot of insights into how these players look in the dugout because we were at 2 of the 3 games in the series, and the third game we spent half it at softball watching on our phones. So we didn't get to see a lot of the insights. We took what a lot of the reporters have been saying. It does seem like these guys are down in the dumps. JD Martinez specifically mentioned Juan Soto showing frustration, but I mean, you guys do want to hear this. Like, we're at the point where this team probably just has to fire Eric Chavez just to get a jolt, just to get the juices flowing.
Or
I don't know.
Barnes.
And just something, there has to be something that happens that like gives this team like a shock to the system that this isn't okay, and like something is changing. Not that I think it's actually necessarily would or could or will change anything, because I think the role of the hitting coach is like super overstated, like in the public perception. But it's just kind of, I guess, not to scare people, but just to make them like open their eyes and blink a few times and like get some moisture back in there and just wake up a little bit.
I think it's to show a little life. Like Yuri said, this team doesn't look like they got juice. It doesn't look like they have energy. I mean, should I drop the stats now, James? Is this the time, since we're talking about Eric Chavez and what he is like as a hitting coach, or we wait a little bit longer?
I think we should wait to some more when we get more specific mentions of specific players. We have a lot of stats specifically about specific guys. I think will be fun to file in. We're going to get to more voicemails. This isn't our show. This is their show.
This is their show. This is the people's show. But yeah, me and you talked about, and this is the first time I've truly heard you be like, take away like what Chavez is doing fundamentally, philosophically, like whatever. I think just simply to show a little something to the team, maybe wake some guys up like, hey, what's happening is unacceptable. This is to send a message. It is crazy that we might not see a head roll yet.
It is funny. I think that we always said that, like, you're not going to fire Eric Chavez when your team still has one of the best records in the National League and your offense is still in the top third of the league. Now those things have both changed. We're now like pushing back towards the wild card race. I'm so relieved we won that Sunday game against the Reds, or else they'd be even 2 games closer to us right now, which would really be changing things. And also, the offense has gone from like the 6th or 7th ranked offense overall in the league for the season, down
Overall,
to like
the a big key word for the future of this podcast.
Down to like the 15th ranked offense this season, just based on runs per game. I think so 12th overall, 13th overall in OPS. So again, that's not like alarm bells for an offense, but for this offense was supposed to be, and this offense like should and could be, that's alarming. And if some more things happen about Eric Chavez on social media, I think that could actually wind up being the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, there may be a burner out there that has been floated around. I'll be honest, I'm going to get ahead of that one. I don't think that the burner that's being pushed out on Twitter right now is necessarily his burner. I think that account is just kind of almost feeding into it, and I do think that the language used on that account's pretty unacceptable, and I don't see Eric Chavez doing that. I don't think he's a bad person.
No way.
That account feels like a bad person thing. That being said, there is an Eric Chavez Twitter account. It's public. I found it. I've seen it.
It's just his name.
He's tweeted. It's his name and numbers. You guys can find it if you look hard enough. He replies to only Eric Chavez tweets, specifically at certain people in the Mets community. It's him. Like there's no doubt in my mind. I know what Eric Chavez's Twitter is. The burner that's being perpetuated right now, I don't truly believe it is. Again, that would be a garbage person type thing, and I don't think that's him. So I really hope that doesn't run rampant. But it is weird that he is pretty active on social media, hating his haters as much as he is for a guy who I think is very much on the hot seat, or at least should be on the hot seat.
At least relatively on the hot seat compared to where he definitely was even like 2-ish weeks ago.
Yeah.
Get the next voicemail going.
Ooh, you want me to pull the next voicemail? Okay.
Yeah, I thought we were alternating.
No, that's honestly, you're right. That's how we've done in the past, and that's on me. Hand up, not locked in. All right. Shout out to our girl Emily, one of the few women that do listen to this podcast. Let's see what Emily has got to say.
Hey, Mark and James. Maybe this team just stinks. I am not you gotta believing right now. Don't even really want to see Alonso tie Strawberry right now because it would just feel so bleh in this situation. Anyways, thanks for all you do. Murphy interview was great. Bye.
Thanks, Emily.
I mean, she's right. We were at the game and we were like, man,
we talked about it.
Alonso tying Darryl Strawberry in the 9th inning when they're getting no hit, or I guess at that moment 1 hit. We're like, this is going to really be like the lamest way ever that he would tie this record.
And there was a conversation going on Twitter led by everyone's favorite reporter, Andy Martino, where he said, like, how do Mets fans actually feel about Pete Alonso tying the record? Like, does it mean a lot to you? Does it mean a little to you? Like, where does it put you? And I think most Mets fans would like, it's like kind of cool, like it is, but it's just like the way the team's playing right now, I think would overshadow what is setting a cool franchise record, while also at the same time, like that is, in terms of records franchises could have, it's definitely not the most,
I'll say it's pretty unimpressive.
It's not unimpressive because it's still a lot of home runs the guy's hit in 7 years. The speed with which Pete Alonso's done it is cool, because if not for the COVID years, he's basically doing this on still a rookie level deal. Like it's still the first like 6 complete seasons of his career, having 250 home runs in 6 years. That's sick.
That's impressive. Yes.
That part's impressive, and I do
franchise record wise not impressive.
That's the part that's not impressive. Yeah, but if even just like the conversation of like fastest guys in Major League history, 250 home runs games wise, that's pretty cool part of it. But I do think that it would really kind of dramatically be overshadowed right now by how badly this team is hitting, playing, all of those things.
You kind of can't break that record when you're getting absolutely embarrassed by a team that's actively not trying to win baseball games.
Actively trying to win half their baseball games.
That's fair. Actively trying to be a 500 team and be good enough to basically still be professional.
Yeah, I got the next voicemail coming here from our boy, Thomas. Here comes Thomas's voicemail. It's a 2-parter, 14-second and a 17-second. So
I like that.
Yeah, and this was sent minutes after you posted the story as well. This was a 2:44. This was a 2:44 p.m. voicemail.
Emily came in at 2:41.
Incredible. And we got the Drury at 3:30. You guys are on this one, but here comes Thomas.
This team is pathetic. There's no life. Nobody cares. Why is Eric Chavez still have a job? Why? Why are we employing him? Why? That's all I have to say is why.
And then one more.
You know what? Shout out Gavin Williams.
That's it?
Wait.
Shout out Gavin Williams.
Looked like the greatest pitcher ever. Fuck Eric Chavez. Fuck everybody. Fuck this team. They're lifeless. They don't give a shit. And I'm tired of watching.
I was fully in that stadium rooting for Gavin Williams to complete the no-hitter. I'd never seen a 9-inning no-hitter from a pitcher live. I saw the Mets team no-hitter 2022, which was cool, mostly because the Mets don't have many of those. But seeing a pitcher throw a no-hitter and him walking out of the dugout with like 110 pitches ninth was kind of a sick moment. And it would have been nice to maximize the embarrassment with this team. Like, you get no hit at home by a pitcher with like a 1.4 whip heading into the game unseasoned. And it's too many people know too much about Eric Chavez at this point. Like, he's too much of a conversation for this to still be a thing. And I do think that
he's almost like a distraction at this point, I feel like.
It's almost like he is, I think, and it might be kind of rightful, it might be kind of wrongful, becoming a scapegoat, though, for the fact that a lot of these players have just not stepped up in a really significant way this year. Like, we're getting pretty objectively not like a bad season out of Francisco Lindor. We've had 2 terrible months out of Pete Alonso. We've had 2 bad months out of Brandon Nimmo, like 6, 8 really good weeks out of Brandon Nimmo, and then 3 more really bad weeks out of Brandon Nimmo. Jeff McNeil was really hot for 2 months. Now he's been cold for about a month. It's just such an absolute roller coaster up and down. There was a stat going around Twitter on Tuesday night that no hitter on the Mets had a 700 OPS over the last month of play. 0 hitters. Jeff McNeil had a 700 going into play on Wednesday. Didn't get any hits. He now dropped under. There's not one player in the Mets with 700 OPS over a month. You can never win like that.
Now, of course, we do not know what the conversations are being had. We don't know if there are adjustments being made. And I would like to think
there are. Well, did you see Carlos Mendoza's quotes after the game?
No, what did he say?
He said that we're recognizing, I'll get you the exact quotes right now, because it kind of opened the door where I think at the same time Mendoza was giving some flack to both the positional coaches and the players, while then also walking back a tiny bit and saying the coaches are doing a great job. It's just not being communicated well enough, something like that. But this quote
That's a problem.
But this quote did make the rounds. I'm scrolling to try and get it. Okay. Carlos Mendoza says the Mets have lacked conviction at times while at the plate. He wants to see them trust in their abilities and their plan more. And then he said the players have struggled to make in-game adjustments. And someone asked why that's the case. He said their coaches are working really hard. They continue to have those discussions with the players, but we've still got to do it.
So I'm going to take what he said, and I'm going to kind of fire back at you a little bit here and see what you have to say about this. Mm-hmm. We've had Trevor May on the podcast before, and one of the things that he lauded Jeremy Hefner for so much about his job and his position was that Jeremy Hefner is excellent at taking information and basically giving it out to the players and making it understandable, making it attainable, and understanding what the game plan is and how to execute and what the Mets players need to do, what they're looking to do. Is there not some fault on the coaches? I understand the players need to execute. This is not me completely scapegoating Eric Chavez because the players still need to perform. At the end of the day, the coaches can only do so much. But if everybody on this roster is having the same issues, because it's an everybody. We got stats with this team without Juan Soto, and they are shocking. And I will read them to you maybe in a little bit here. But at some point, maybe the way that Eric Chavez and or Jeremy Barnes disseminate this information, give out what the plan is supposed to be, is not working. Maybe it's become dull. Maybe it doesn't stick. Maybe they're bad at it. There's a possibility that they are legitimately bad at their job. That feels to me like there's a problem, that there's this major disconnect that the manager of this organization, this roster, is feeling as well. He's going, the coaches are working hard. The players are not understanding it. Do you blame the players? Do you blame the coaches? It's probably a little bit of both. And to be honest, I tend to lean to blame them, the coaches, then, because they're not doing enough to make the players actually understand what needs to be done.
The part of that that's weird for me is that these were the same coaches last year with most of the same players. So it's like, how was there more of a disconnect this time around than last time around?
Hot take? JD Martinez?
You think he was like the middleman? Like, was JD Martinez?
Seems like it might be, because like,
was he the de facto quality assurance coach?
Now, I'll say this: like JD Martinez was pretty horrible last year. I think
baseball.
we all know that. Like, he went through a stretch where he was unplayable. But there was something that happened offensively. There was a second gear that this team hit when he started hanging around. We saw it with Vientos. We saw it with a bunch of players. There was a different approach to the plate. And JD Martinez, for all intents and purposes, has been a very, very cerebral hitter throughout his career. He was a guy who was a very, very early adapter of like watching video during games, acknowledging what's going on in his bats, like maybe at times to a fault. That can probably be a little, at times, a little crippling, hyper analyzing every single thing that's going on. But also maybe that was part of it. Maybe there was a disconnect between the coaching staff on the hitting side and the players, and JD Martinez was able to help bridge that gap. That's probably also giving him way too much credit.
Totally, but I actually think there is something to that because the Mets don't have a quality control coach on their staff. They do have a separate strategy coach, which is Danny Barnes, but Danny Barnes was a reliever, so I don't know how involved he would be with some of this hitting stuff. And then they do have two hitting coaches in Eric Chavez and Jeremy Barnes, and then they also have the strategy coach in Danny Barnes. So there could be something to this where JD Martinez could have been the de facto translator, because I do think this is a big thing that a lot of these major league coaching staffs lack, because there's so much advanced information just being disseminated like day after day, moment after moment. When we talked about it with Murphy, when we talked to him a few weeks ago about how much information did you like in game versus out of the game, where was your prep versus where was your reaction? He basically said, in the game, I'm in the game. We definitely know that's not true of all players. I think there are a lot of guys who probably do want to be looking at these things in game. So perhaps that there was a bit of a communication bridge that JD Martinez was kind of holding a lot of weight inside of that now is gone. I'm not advocating for JD Martinez who've been put up back on this team or anything like that. I am just saying that is, while a lot of these things, a lot of the same processes were in place last year, that is one thing that's defiantly different right now.
Yeah, and maybe that's the difference. Maybe there is an issue with how to communicate these things. I mean, shit, we've heard Francisco Lindor publicly say to reporters that he called out Chavez last year for not doing his job. And at the moment when we saw that, we were like, that feels like a problem, right? I mean, sometimes maybe it's right in front of your face and it's so fucking obvious you can't see it.
There also have been a few instances this year. We never know what's going on in somebody's personal life or what actually is the deal happening with some of these coaches and their staff and how often they're supposed to be in the building and out of the building. But Eric Chavez sometimes just isn't with the team. And again, we don't know exactly why. We know he has younger-ish kids. We know he does have a house in Arizona. So if the Mets are going to the West, they're having some days where he's been there. So it's like, we don't know exactly how these coaching staffs work, especially having two hitting coaches. Because the famous saying, when you have two hitting coaches, you really have none. There could be a situation why that is happening right now, but it is a strange coaching alignment from the get-go. And a lot of that did happen from the fact that we kind of bumped Chavez around the last few years. Hitting coach, bench coach, back to hitting coach. It's something that most other teams have not done situations like this the last few years.
Take away what we think about him currently in the moment as what he is as a hitting coach. Like Jeremy Hefner is the exception because he is highly lauded amongst every baseball person in the world. Standout, phenomenal coach, like the best pitching coach arguably in baseball. Never have heard those same things about Jeremy Barnes and Eric Chavez, but they're from the old regime. And the fact that they're still here is weird. They're like the only people from that old regime that have still stuck around. And it doesn't make sense to me.
AJ, I'm on my phone right now in Arena Club, and I'm looking at the Emerald slab packs, and I see in the Grail a Bobby Witt Jr. 2020 Bowman Chrome Prospect Auto Gold Refractor card.
Give me that. Give me your phone. I'm gonna get you to
you gotta buy
that to me.
I don't have it.
I thought you had it.
Get a slab pack. No, I don't have that.
Then give me your slab pack.
That card's worth.
You buy me slab pack, Scott, so I can get the Bobby Witt Jr. Gold Refractor 2020 Bowman Chrome Auto, because that sounds awesome.
And it's worth a lot.
It's worth a lot. He's a stud. He's not going down. Get a Grail. I want a Grail, Scott. Give me the Holy Grail. You do it.
To do that, you must get yourself a slab pack in Arena Club. Or if you want to get it for a friend, you can do that too. And right now, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or your first card purchase. If you're going on there and you're just like, hey, I want a specific card. I find it there. I want to grab it for my showroom. arenaclub.com/foul and use the code FOUL.
But we'll talk about it more here. I've got another message here coming in from Los. Let's see what he's got to say.
Come on, Los.
This is Carlos calling from the softball league that we're all in.
Hell yeah, what's up, Carlos?
I think it's time for Steve Cohen to go ahead and fire Eric Chavez. If the entire team cannot put the bat to the ball, there's a problem.
Okay. I think it's time for me to drop my stats.
Yeah, you ready? The stats are here. I was waiting for someone to specifically call out Juan Soto because I thought we were going to get that.
I'm going to tell you, I think the people that listen to this podcast are way too smart to do something like that. So me and James, while we were at the game, I looked at him and I said, and I know me and James specifically have argued back and forth on what's going on with this team offensively, but we're friends. This is all in good fun. This is good content. And I looked at James and I go, I think if we take Juan Soto out of the equation, these numbers are going to fall off a cliff. And me and James took Juan Soto out of the equation, and the numbers fall off a cliff.
So quickly, I want to tell you guys the Mets stats still across the league, just offensively as a team. We alluded to them before, but in terms of just a stat that Mark and I think our favorite one to just completely just assume offense, OPS, the Mets are still 12th in the league. They might be 13th behind the Brewers because it was 725 for 724 that was going into play on Wednesday. Mets are 13th in runs per game. The Mets are 4th in walk rate, actually, and the Mets are, where is it, 13th in on-base percentage. Now 13th in on-base percentage. So it's still, again, objectively, and weighted runs created plus, WRC plus, 9th. So in terms of all of the still full amalgamation of offensive stats for the whole season, the Mets are still, objectively speaking, don't crash your car, do not yell at me, do not go on Twitter and curse me out, a top 10 offense in baseball. Which, again, you don't like the fact that this isn't one of like the 5 best offense in baseball because you think it was built to be that, but you can still be like, it's a top 3rd offense in baseball. That's an offense that should, no matter what, with at least a competent pitching staff, which I'm so happy no one's brought up the pitching staff because I was worried about people getting mad about the pitching staff because it's still not the problem, should be able to drag you to the playoffs no matter what. But now,
that's because Juan Soto's in the lineup. Juan Soto, I think, could be one of the more underrated players in baseball because when you hear the difference in the numbers of what this Mets team looks like with Juan Soto and without Juan Soto, it is staggering. The Mets simply are one of the worst offensive teams in Major League Baseball if you take Juan Soto out of the lineup. And I understand that's not what they are.
Yeah,
they
this is a stupid conversation. Yeah, it is. But
this is like, theoretically, it is a stupid conversation, but I do think it magnifies what's actually going wrong with this team. And a big reason is the Mets do not get on base. And I think part of the reason why runners in scoring position problem feels so magnified is because they actually don't get on base very often. So without Juan Soto in this lineup, the Mets on base percentage for the season is .309. With Juan Soto in the lineup, the Mets on base percentage is .319. That is a 10-point drop. If you look at the major league averages right now, that would put the Mets hard at number 23 in Major League Baseball, or 22, 23, wherever that is going to be. That is ahead of the Orioles, Angels, Pirates, Guardians, Rangers, Royals, White Sox, and Rockies. You're going to hear those names again because that is pretty much the only teams in Major League Baseball the Mets are better than offensively without considering Juan Soto. It is staggering. You go to the slugging percentage. The Mets slugging percentage is .398. That puts them in the middle of the pack still in Major League Baseball. But that drops him a bunch. That drops him almost 9 points or something like that for the season. And then where it gets really shocking, the biggest one, they still hit the ball hard. Shout out James, loves hard hit rate. Love hard hit rate too. Everyone should love hard hit rate. But the staggering one is when you look at barrel rate. And this would explain why the Mets are having so many issues getting runs, extra base hits, scoring runs. The barrels are what you should be chasing in baseball. If you're not trying to hit barrels, I don't know what you're trying to do. That's why Luis Rise stinks. Nobody cares about it.
And just to tell you guys, a barrel, when we talk about barrel rate, that's when you hit a ball that has to have at least a 98-mile-an-hour exit velocity, so a tiny bit higher of a threshold than a hard hit ball, and it has to be struck between a 26 and 30-degree launch angle. And you can keep getting barrels as you get a higher launch angle, but they have to then be hit in proportion harder hit with the higher launch angle. So it's basically batted balls that are, for lack of a better term, smacked.
I'm going to blow your guys' mind. With Juan Soto in the lineup, the Mets are the 3rd highest team in terms of barrel rate this season, 10.4%. That is the 3rd highest, only behind the Yankees and Angels, which the Angels only hit home runs, and the Yankees have Aaron Judge, which is crazy. So think about that for a second. Without Juan Soto, this team's barrel rate is 6.6%. That is the 2nd worst in Major League Baseball. The only team worse is, weirdly, the Milwaukee Brewers, but they don't play baseball the same way that anyone else in baseball does. They're weird. They're bizarre. They break how this game is played. They play fast. They play different. So what I'm hearing is that this Mets team, outside of Juan Soto, makes the 2nd worst quality of contact in the entire league. So fire Eric Chavez and Jeremy Barnes.
It's also it is a stark reminder of what this season could have looked like if we did not sign Juan Soto. We would be probably right now 5-10 games under 500. We'd be kind of toiling around with the Braves. We might be a couple games worse than the Marlins right now if we weren't able to sign Juan Soto. And there's a lot of, I was expecting a few anti-Soto voicemails because there's just been so much of this on Twitter the last few days. And I think that it's easy to forget how good and how much he is able to change this lineup, even while he's not having the best season of his career, because there's been a massive level of just simple regression from every other guy in this team. I said, looking deeply at the numbers, that I was scared about Francisco Lindor back towards the end of May. I didn't realize he'd also break his toe after that. And then when you add those things together, one, him getting a little bit older, and two, playing this whole season with a broken toe, he's been actually just bad for literally 2 exact straight months. Going 2 exact months, because Francisco Lindor hit the foul ball off his toe and fractured on June 4th. We're looking at a 210 batting average, a 270 on base, and a 360 slug.
So bad.
That is terrible. That's 20% worse than league average. That's untenably bad. And the worst part is that before that foul ball off his toe, he was 284, 356, 498. That was an 850 OPS, 40% better than league average. He was pacing for a great season, but at the same time he was pacing for that, the fear was the drop in the bat speed, not pulling his fly balls as much. There was some chinks in the armor, and now with the injury, we've seen that. And then if you just look at this Mets team, since that Francisco Lindor broken toe happened, and again, you can't really blame one player, the same way that we're talking about how much Juan Soto has elevated this offense. We can't just say if Francisco Lindor isn't up to his MVP level standards we saw last season, that this team should just suck. But since he broke that toe, this Mets team is 24-29, June 4th. And that is with 2 different 6-game win streaks. Actually, 1 7-game win streak. So 13 of the 24 wins that we've had since June 4th happened within 1 week of time each. So there's been, besides 2 good weeks of baseball, 9 straight weeks of bad baseball since that Francisco Lindor foul ball off his toe. And it's not an excuse for the rest of the players of this team. Pete Alonso's been ice cold since then as well. Brandon Nimmo's been streaky. Jeff McNeil was hot, went cold. Beatty's been streaky. Mauricio kind of just has these pop-off games and goes crazy. Vientos has been absent until the last week, but still doesn't really feel like he's really clicked back in all the way. Alvarez, we know what's going on with Alvarez this year. Like, it's a lot on all the other players. The whole point of a team is that if someone's struggling, you should step up. But I really look back at that moment, Lindor breaking his toe, not going on the injured list when it happened, and that probably still dealing with nagging effects that all season while dealing with regular regression, and it just looks bad overall.
No, it's an absolute fucking mess. Like this offense is a mess. And again, you mentioned I'm glad we're not getting any pitching voicemails yet. We might.
Yeah,
we might still get some, and I honestly I'm going to bet that we at least get one. But it is so not the problem of this team right now. The Mets address the bullpen. Bullpen's good. The starting pitching, we would love to see them go deeper. They don't have to go deeper if necessarily. This bullpen is much better. We have Reed Garrett pitching the 6th inning now. Like, that's such a huge relief.
And
that was our 8th inning guy. And losses. He's pitching in the 6th inning. The number one problem and the overarching problem of this entire team has been that nobody besides Juan Soto and Pete Alonso for a little bit have been able to do almost anything at the plate this year. And that is why the Mets continue to lose games. And until something changes, the Mets will continue to lose games. This is not sustainable. Again, the teams that I'm mentioning that the Mets are better than offensively right now are the worst teams in baseball. You want to know why the Orioles suck this year? They have bad pitching and they can't fucking hit. You want to know why the Pirates stink? Because they can't hit. The Guardians stink because they can't hit. You look at every single team that the Mets are better than offensively. They all stink because they cannot hit. And at the end of the day, if you don't score more runs than the team you're playing against, you will never win a baseball game. And the Mets are not giving themselves that opportunity.
No, and you have a series like this against the Guardians where I know we're not actually specifically talking about the series because I don't think you guys want to hear about it, and I don't want to talk about it, where you give up 4 runs, you give up 3 runs, and then you give up 5 runs in regular time and then 2 runs with the bullshit extra inning rule. So it's like those are, just based on the runs you gave up, very winnable games. You lost a game on Friday. You gave up 4 runs. One of those came in extra innings. Padres, you gave up 7 runs in 2 games. You gave up 5 runs. Okay, whatever. It's just you have opportunities to win these games. It's the fact that this can't be a league average offense right now is the reason you continue to lose them.
And that's with Juan Soto, their league average.
Yes.
Everybody else besides Juan Soto.
Luckily we have Juan Soto, but it was just highlighting the fact of what the floor could have looked like without him.
And then my last thing I'll mention here before we get going on to a next voicemail, because of how bad everyone else has been, Juan Soto's production that he's been with getting on base, with hitting the ball hard, with doing that stuff, it means nothing because nobody else can do anything else.
And it, like you said, to start this whole diatribe, it exasperates the I think I keep using that word wrong, but whatever. It makes the risk problem look a lot worse because we have fewer opportunities relatively to get those runs home. When you have fewer chances and you still fail them, they get magnified.
And those guys who come up, including Juan Soto, aren't getting them done either because most of these guys are not hitting well without runners in scoring position. I think that's the other conversation. They're not.
That's my whole conversation. That was you pushed the point I made in this podcast all season.
They're not hitting. The entire team's not hitting.
There we go.
I got you.
We finally got back to it. All right. Next one coming. Kyle McDonald. Another quick one. A 248 with then an update at 3:57. So again, some quick voicemails from the people here.
I'm going to keep this short and sweet because I'm at work right now. But Mets are getting no hit through 6. And I only got one thing to say is fire Chavez. That guy stinks. Get him out of here. Bring up the AAA hitting coach. Fix Alvarez's swing in literally a week. And keep faith, boys. Gonna be a tough end of stretch.
And we got the update an hour later.
I know what I want to talk about, though.
All right, got swept by the Guardians, but that's all right. Because I don't know if you guys remember the last time the Mets got almost no hit. JD Martinez hit a home run in the 9th inning, and then Mets went on the run. That was the game versus the Marlins last year. So, big run coming. Tough schedule ahead. Let's go, Mets. Love the podcast, boys. Keep it up.
Thank you, Colin. Which is shockingly positive at the end. I didn't think that was coming.
I don't know. Actually, I do think I want to take that moment because while we've just been spewing hate and vitriol this whole episode, I think we're going to get a lot more fire Chavez, fire Chavez, fire Chavez.
Yeah.
Even after the Mets almost got no hit in that game, I think it was also the Braves, not the Marlins last year. We should have gotten no hit in a game that you guys probably remember very fondly against the Blue Jays. Remember that one?
Who's pitching?
It was
Bowden Francis.
That was the day game against Bowden Francis that we really should have gotten no hit. But then Francisco Lindor broke up the no-hitter with the home run in the 9th inning. Oddly enough, we're almost even around that point in the season. Actually, we're even before that point in the season. That was last September. That was after a big win streak, but one we were still kind of teetering. Even if you go back exactly a year to the day right now, we just had that one game makeup in St. Louis that we won with Sean Manaea pitched. Then we went to Colorado and won 2 out of 3. That was before the horrible series in Seattle against the Mariners were basically shut out for 3 straight games. And then that clobbering, that 9-run clobbering, we were hanging out with Ernie and Drew and Christy and Carlos that Tuesday night against the A's at the time, the Oakland A's. So again, we're still a week clear of that, what still felt like a rock bottom even after the great run of last year. So it is easy to forget how much time is left in the season. We still have almost 2 full months of the regular season, which is nuts. We have as much time right now left in the regular season as we have from now going back to like a week before Memorial Day.
Or like the COVID season had.
Yeah, we basically have we almost have a full COVID season left. Just a reminder to the Dodgers fans out there how fake that championship is. So I don't want to be like, we are doom and gloom right now. This team looks like fucking raging dog shit. I'm not going to sugarcoat that for you, but it's not the end of the world. You can see the light at the end. It looks like we can see the end of the world. Like we can see where it falls off the cliff, but there is still legitimately amount of time where if there's anything good that happens, 2 good games, I'm suddenly back.
Oh yeah, the Mets take the series from the Brewers, and the title of the YouTube video is gonna be "The Mets are so back." Like I know exactly what's gonna happen. I know what it's gonna be. That being said, I do want to have a bigger conversation about Francisco Alvarez here. He's looked awesome. He's one of the few guys that has looked awesome, especially since he's been called back up. Does that not feel weird that it took him going down to hit in AAA and working with JP Arencibia? Do you think he was so defiant of Eric Chavez and Jeremy Barnes, or do you think those guys were not even trying to make changes? Like what? That's weird, right? Optically, it's weird.
That is weird, and I'm just to feed into our narratives and everyone else's narratives. I'll agree with you on the surface, but I also think in Alvarez's case, it was such a weird problem he was having and this leads in back to your approach thing where he was kind of doing this thing where he was trying to shorten up and trying to be a different kind of hitter. I think the biggest thing with sports, baseball, life, coaching, anything in general, you just got to be yourself. Francisco Alvarez was put on this earth to just take absolutely gargantuan daddy hacks and try to send the ball into the 15th row of the left field stands. That's it. That's the only thing that fucking matters. That's the only thing that matters, because I think a lot about how we lost the game on Monday, which we'll rehash that quickly for you guys because you want to hear about it because it was so top of mind in the moment where in the 9th inning, after again, Mets made a great comeback, a great 5-run comeback in that game after Carlos Mendoza seemingly just was like, I have to get Sean Manaea through 6 innings. And Sean Manaea had nothing in that 6th inning. Threw an 89-mile-an-hour fastball, hit a batter, threw a wild pitch. It was a fucking mess. No reason why I should have been out there. But make a great comeback. Fueled by Pete. Vientos had a big sac fly. What?
Twitter says you got to go 6 innings. So,
but then, again, great comeback. We had a great time.
Great comeback.
Tyrone Taylor's on to start the 9th inning. Or Alvarez got on, drew a walk, actually, and Tyrone Taylor's pinch running. We don't send Tyrone Taylor. And he steals.
I'm gonna say words. I'm so mad.
You guys know what happened. Francisco Lindor, who again is much maligned, people are shitting on him. He should have had the walk-off hit in that game. There was this play where he put the double, didn't get all the way to the corner. Nolan Jones threw the ball into weirdly the cutoff man, Carlos Santana. Mike Sarbaugh holds up Tyrone Taylor at third base. You can see in the replay that it looked like it could have been a close play with perfect throws. It wasn't perfect throws. That's hindsight 2020. Tyrone Taylor still probably safe you send him, but the logic of the move, before I let Mark spew the hate out of his mouth, it makes sense because you're like, all right, Pete Alonso's up. He's already 4 for 4 in this game. We need a fly ball to win the game. And Pete Alonso comes up and just shits his pants. And he
tries to hit opposite field fucking singles.
He's shortening up his swing. He's just trying to make contact. He still can't touch Cade Smith because he throws 100 miles an hour while striding like 90% of the way to the plate. The guy's a monster. And then he strikes out. We go to extra innings, and that's why we wind up losing that game. Approach-wise, that was fucking horrific to get in that situation and try to not be yourself. I understand that you do want to shorten up, as Murph likes to tell us. You want to play catch with the center fielder. But you don't want to really dramatically change the way you think about at-bats generally. You still want to think about the at-bat in the situational sense that you want to win the game in this moment. So that's not like take daddy hacks, do all that. Play the situation. But it seemed like Pete was thinking about trying to be something else in that moment rather than, again, being himself.
Yeah, the one strike swing, I looked at him, I'm like, he's trying to go to right field. I was like, you can see it from in person. You can tell that he's trying to hit the ball to right field. That's not who Pete Alonso is.
That's also not a sac fly swing. That's a base hit swing.
Yeah, it's
still
stupid.
Not paying attention to the situation.
Yeah, and like earlier in the game when he hit the home run, remember I was telling you, I was like, pull the baseball. Pull the baseball. He pulled it. Home run. Shocker. Pete Alonso hit home runs when he pulls the baseball. Shocker. You hit more home runs when you pull the baseball. The opposite field approach is almost what single-handedly killed Isaac Perez's entire Major League Baseball career. He started pulling the baseball strictly, and what do you know? He's an all-star caliber third baseman. But the non-send by Mike Sarbaugh was so disgustingly fucking stupid. It was brain dead. Me and you were the only, like, one of the few people that had pretty much the exact same view, maybe even a little bit worse than Mike Sarbaugh. And it was so... Nolan Jones crashed into the wall. Double clutched the baseball.
He spun. He didn't crash in, though. He stopped himself and he spun.
You're right. He spun, double clutched the baseball.
Because also, that's a cue you're looking for as a third base coach. You see if that ball takes one bounce in the corner or if the outfielder hits the wall. That's an auto send. So these were the things that were making him not send.
But even a spin, though, is such a longer... It's a long thing. Like him going... Because he throws with his right hand. Him going towards the wall. You know he has to spin and throw. That is longer than a left-handed thrower would have to make from the right field. Like, it's one thing to consider. He then spin throws, double clutches, throws into Carlos Santana, who's taking the cut because Brian Roque has such a noodle arm. Carlos Santana also still has a noodle arm. Not a good arm either. One of the worst in baseball, like 30th percentile. Makes a bad throw. Carlos Santana has to leap, catch, bobble it to gather just the baseball. Tyrone Taylor, while the ball is in the air, is around third base. And Mike Sarbaugh is giving him the hard stop. He wasn't even deep down the line, Sarbaugh. Sarbaugh was standing almost even with third base, completely out of position as a coach. Fucking horrible job all around by him. And the thing that pisses me off the most is, while I totally agree with you, philosophically, Pete Alonso has to get the job done too, right? If you got 2 shots to get the run in from third base, I totally can buy that. But they pinch ran for Francisco Alvarez with Tyrone Taylor. If you're going to pinch run with who is your fastest player on the bench, and then you're not going to push him, you're not going to try and make anything happen, why did you pinch run? Francisco Alvarez was going first to third on that play. So what they did was nothing different with a much faster runner in. That, to me, is just like fundamental fucking loser mentality. Nobody wants to be great. And by nobody, I mean Mike Sarbaugh, but also this team, nobody wants to be great. There's a lack of wanting to take the game by the balls and just fucking win. There's nothing. There's no juice. And that's why I agree with all the people who say that. There's no sense of urgency with this team. And at the absolute worst, right? Perfect throw, perfect play. Tyrone Taylor's out at home. Francisco Lindor's at third base. You know he's making on the throw there. As soon as he sees the throw, he's getting to third base. And now you have Pete Alonso up with a man on third base again and a chance to win the baseball game.
With 2 outs instead of 1.
I mean, fucking put the ball in play then too again. Try it. Like, get a hit. That's when Pete Alonso could take a swing of trying to serve the ball to right field, maybe just to put the ball in play. But even then, be yourself. When Pete Alonso hits the ball hard and he pulls the baseball, he gets hits. I don't know why he thinks he has to go to right field to get a fucking single.
No, but in that moment, again, it would have been like, please just a fly ball. That was like some of the worst discourse we've had this whole season, which was the freeze frame, shout out SNY, incredible production as they always do, showing that split screen even just in the moment without knowing what would happen after. The split screen of Tyrone Taylor running as the play was happening. And it's such an awkward play on a baseball field for a first baseman to make that run out, because that no one does that besides teams who have guys like Brian Roque, who have some of the worst arms in the league, where you're running so much as the first baseman to get that far out, to spin and make that throw. Carlos Santana also being a right-handed thrower, he was going to have to grab that and then pivot his whole body, which is why he wound up dropping that baseball, and Tyrone Taylor would have scored without a throw. But again, that's all hindsight 2020 Monday morning quarterback. It's frustrating to look back and being like, that was a moment that could have been like a huge step in the right direction. Be like, erase a 5-run deficit. You leave the ballpark feeling good. These next two games go completely differently, honestly, if that happens.
You guys in the stadium would have seen this, but on TV, I'm sure you didn't. The Mets were out of the dugout and were like jumping up and down. Couldn't believe that Tyrone Taylor wasn't sent. Like everybody in the fucking planet wanted him sent. And for everyone who's like, you can't send him there, you shouldn't have sent him. Congrats, Mets got a loss because you decided to play like a little fucking loser and not try and take a chance with a team that, again, has struggled to score runs with runners in scoring position. If we want to bring it back to my favorite conversation, they haven't driven any runs with guys in running scoring position. What made you think they were going to do it now?
Right. Now we got to get back some voicemails because we're 40 minutes in and we have like 15 more voicemails to get to.
I don't think we're going to get to all of them.
All right. So we're going to keep moving here then. Brandon. Did you do Brandon yet?
I was going to give him a little shine. So you want to play it or me?
I got Brandon. Here comes next voicemail from Brandon.
Hey, Mark and James. Obviously, we're all down, but I have no fucking answers anymore. You know, you change the lineup, doesn't make a difference. The Mets shit their pants when things go wrong. They don't know how to react. It's when they go down, they forget how to play baseball. I have no idea, but I'm with you. Chavez has to go. Their approach is so bad. What do we do from here? You know, you have to score runs. I'm over this sometimes. It's just frustrating. I was at the game Tuesday. It was pathetic. You know, Monday night, could have been a great comeback. Beatty has to make a better play there. But you have to get a hit with the bases loaded. Anyway, I hope you have a great day. James, by the way, I'm gluten-free also. It sucks.
Shout out Brandon. Brandon, I feel like, has had a Joker moment because he was always a very positive fan, and now he's been. I've been seeing him on Twitter now. This DM on Instagram, like he's getting mad, and I think that really echoes how a lot of these Mets fans are feeling. And the Tuesday game was awful. The fact that there was a point between it was the 5th inning Tuesday or the 4th inning, I can't remember exactly, and until the Juan Soto home run on Wednesday, it's like 12 consecutive no-hit innings. That doesn't even make sense. Like, I know the Guardians bullpen's good, but like Kobe Allard's throwing 89-mile-an-hour sinkers. Like, it's like
Kobe Allard sucks.
I think that's what I'm saying. There has to be a hit somewhere there mixed in, and it was so funny that I thought Carlos Mendoza pulled Clay Holmes the perfect time. I thought Clay Holmes had a good start given what Clay Holmes is right now. We saw Clay Holmes last week look beleaguered in that start against the Padres. In the first pitch of the game, the guy was gassed. He was dead. And I literally told you leaving the stadium on Monday, I was like, I'm guaranteeing you a good Clay Holmes start tomorrow. And you're like, why? I was like, 5 days rest, pitching on the 6th day. Like, I know he's going to have a good start. A lot of these Mets situations could be alleviated a bit, even though the starting pitching is like the 9th biggest problem right now, the 10th biggest problem, because the first 9 problems are 1 through 9 in the batting order. But just these guys are all a lot better with that extra day of rest. So I think that is something that's funny to keep an eye on, as Brandon Sprode has been pitching really well in AAA. Yeah,
if we want to talk about pitching, but we know the problem is hitting. I'm gonna jump to Joe Vasquez. There was like 7 others that, I'm gonna be honest, guys, like a minute 45 is tough. I don't know if I can give you a minute 45. I love you guys sending messages, but I do prefer the ones that are like 28 seconds. So
I got some short ones.
I'm going to give Joe a little shine here. Shout out Joe Vasquez. Here we go. So quiet. I don't know what he's talking. I think. Okay, we lost Joe. Joe, unfortunately.
You're doing it like talk radio. I think we lose Joe. I think we lost Joe over here.
Yeah, I will say he sent me a text on the reply to the story. He says, bro, I hate that this team plays with no fucking balls. It starts with Lindor every fucking play. Has a smile on his face as the captain. He should be leading this team with some grit, some heart, some attitude, and some fucking balls. And I will say this. I told James I'm going to call Lindor out. He has to be a leader. He has to be better. He's a guy who, for the longest time, we know is not a rah-rah guy, and that's fine. Not everybody is. He's been a lead by example. The example he's been playing with, whether there's injury concerns or not, he's been leading like shit. So he's got to play better.
And I'll tell you this at the same time. He should have had the walk-off hit on Monday.
Of course, yeah. Well, yeah. If Mike Sarbaugh had
balls,
what I'm
saying.
Like
so I'm saying, like
Joe Vasquez was talking about,
because like even when you were having these conversations, those conversations were pervasive on Twitter after the game on Monday, just because there was that play in the 10th where Beatty on the sack bunt probably should have gone to first, but decided to try and make the hero play and go to second. Still had the runner if he made a good throw. It wasn't a great throw. It also wasn't a terrible throw. It looked like it clanked off Lindor's glove. Definitely a catchable ball. That was the conversation, but he had the walk-off hit. And I think that's the kind of thing where this comes back to, like you mentioned, leading. The walk-off hit was kind of taken away from you by the third base coach inadvertently. That plays into your mind the next inning, but you can't take a play like that into the field with you. You can't, especially when you're like a platinum glove guy like Francisco Lindor is. But I got the next one from Sam over here. 36 seconds from Sam.
Love that.
Hey guys, love the podcast. Just wanted to ask, how long do you think this Mets team is going to go with being this terrible at the plate? Like, at the beginning of the season, they were getting a good deal of the wins because their starting pitching was amazing, but this stretch has just been horrible, and they can't even get on base anymore. No hits, no walks, and the extra base hits thing is really concerning. Just want to ask you guys, do you think this is a slump, or do you just think this team is just terrible? Hey guys, love the podcast.
I got a bad thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
They might just suck. I think there's a non-zero chance that this offense just stinks, and that unless and that's with the current version of Lindor, that's with the current version of Alonso, that's with the version that we've seen for the last 2 months, right? Like, they've been bad. The numbers we read out to you without Juan Soto are pretty shocking. It's crazy how much he does impact this offense. Like 10 points of on-base percentage is kind of insane to think about that he has that impact. That's how good Juan Soto is.
Over 3 percentage points of barrel rate.
Yeah, like that's freakish, the impact he makes on this team. It is also concerning to the quality of players on this team, not just Lindor, Alonso, but also everybody else behind them not doing their job. It's also a little bit on the front office for maybe not having as legit of a roster as we thought they did.
I guess, but then like going into the season, we seeing what the front office built of, again, like Lindor, Nimmo, Alonso flanking Juan Soto. We're like, no matter what, based on the regular average outputs of all of these guys, that's a top 5 offense in the league. And everything else kind of became gravy.
Maybe a little too much faith in Mark Vientos, right? Like,
probably they pulled the plug on Mark Vientos, not in totality, but that also comes back to Mendoza, because we also know in terms of the way that most front office and coaching staffs work in this league, the Mets give relatively more autonomy to Mendoza than most other front offices give their manager. So that's part of it as well. And also I think that there's a lot of things Carlos Mendoza does well. I think there's a good amount of things he doesn't do well. He is a player's manager. He rides with the guys. And when you have as much success as the Mets, specifically Mendoza and Mark Vientos had last year, it's hard to flip the switch in the other direction quickly. And a lot of you guys listening right now,
this year.
because we do have a very divisive split in the Mets community of the listeners of the show who are like, you have to get Mark Vientos going, and Mark Vientos is not a Major League Baseball player. We saw it all through the conversations happen around the trade deadline. So even being from the inside of that does seem like just a crazy. It's a very strange decision to make day in and day out. And we see how badly Carlos Mendoza specifically wants to get Mark Vientos going. And Mark Vientos, while he has hit better for 2 weeks now, so I'm not gonna disparage that. That's kind of a thing that's going back and forth. And I do want to give credit to our favorite reporter, old Moonface, Steve Gelbs. He opened the press availability for Mendoza today, saying, like, we've had these conversations. They should be better for months. It's August. He said, where does that leave us? And then Mendoza still gave him the can. We know we're better. We should be better. But I think that finally, it's been a very fair time to ask that question.
And I'll ask you this: Mark Vientos has been better over the last 2 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Want to know what his OPS is over the last 15 games?
730.
645.
Stop.
645. He's hitting 255 though. He's getting his singles.
There you go.
He's getting his singles. Eric Chavez is pumped. You know how many walks he has in his last 15 games?
How many?
1. You want to know how many walks he has in his last 30 games?
How many?
1.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Mark Vientos right now is running like a sub 1% walk rate over the last month.
It's really bad.
It's really fucking bad. I don't give a shit what his average is.
Did you do the 30-second voicemail from Andrew?
Did I do that?
He's got Andrew. He's got the Garfield pro pick.
No, I didn't click Garfield.
All right, I'm ready to go. This one came in at 2:44. So
nice.
Got Andrew minutes after you posted the story.
So you have a team. You just patched every hole in your bullpen, which was arguably your biggest weak point. You have one of the better rotations in the National League. You have nothing but spoils of talent on the hitting side, and you can't piece it together. What is the magic pixie dust that this team needs to put it all together? Because
On paper, there's nothing wrong other than these star hitters can't get hits when it actually matters. What needs to change? I'm at a loss.
That's where I think our numbers do come in. I actually think on paper there is something very wrong with this team. They don't barrel up the baseball. They don't get on base. The quality of contact's poor outside of Juan Soto. And I bet you if you took out Pete Alonso too, which again now we're really crazy.
If you take the best two hitters off any team, they become one of the best.
But then there's 7 guys in the lineup that are
sure
really bad, like worse than the Pirates bad.
I think that. Again, I think that would be a bridge too far statistically. I think that would prove us nothing. But it is so ironic that we've plugged up this bullpen, we just can't use them.
No, they're useless.
There's no moment for these guys, and even like the times that Helsley and Rogers come in this series, Helsley, it's a bunt that the ball gets thrown to the outfield, and he winds up giving up 2 runs in the extra innings, and then Tyler Rogers is bloop walk, and it's just like that's how you lose the game. Not lose the game, but that is how in the moment they lost the game on Tuesday night. It's just it's painful the way that it's going back and forth right now how this team is playing. Still with the thing holding us that you got 50 games left here. 48, I think exactly. So it's like 47. So there's a moment. You got something. Wow, these are
I think we're gonna do
long voicemails.
I think we're gonna do 3. I'm gonna read out the names of the last 3 because they're just a little bit shorter and we're coming up on time here. We got Papa Pepe, Chris Tricarico, Willie Deutsch, and then of course Frankie Peppers will be the last voicemail that we listen to.
I wonder if you think Frankie sent us a regular Frankie or a voicemail?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess we'll find out. But regardless, Frankie Peppers will be the last voice you hear. Shout out Frankie Peppers. All right, it's coming from Papa Pepe. Let's see what he's got for us.
Yo, I don't know if it's too late to leave a message, but I just want to say I kind of wish that the Mets would have got no hit today. Maybe that would have sparked them to turn it around or something. I don't know. Hopefully, at least only getting that one hit make a difference. Let's go Mets. Yeah.
I mean, I was rooting for the no hitter. I tweeted out, I was like, I'm rooting for the no hitter. Maybe this gets Eric Chavez fired.
Yeah, we got Willie. 7 seconds from our guy Willie Deutsch.
I hope it's just screaming.
Here we go.
Time to fire Chavez. Also, if your results are this horrible this long, eventually your process sucks.
Yeah, that's fair. That's where we've gotten to at this point.
Yeah. All right. Chris Tricarico, last one before Frankie Peppers. Here we go.
What's up, guys? Listen, this team is unwatchable right now. I don't understand what their problem is. I don't get it. Ever since, the gay Mets of 2025, they have been losing baseball. Last year, they were winning from that point on. So I don't understand why. I don't know what's going on. They need a spark plug of some kind. This lineup is better. We keep saying it's better than it is, but it's not. We're watching like you guys keep saying, the 2024 Phillies all over again. Good at the beginning of the year, and just been awful since June. So I don't know what needs to happen here. We need a spark plug of some kind, but this is very painful. This got to be rock bottom, man. One hit today. After this series against the Guardians, just disgusting, hard to watch baseball. So hopefully something changes. Call up one of these kids, get McLean up here, get Sprott up here. I don't care. We didn't trade for a starter. We need a starter up here to do something. I know it's the hitting, but we need a spark plug. All right, let's fucking go Mets.
I actually think, Chris, actually well articulated. That was one of the best voice messages we got.
And good volume.
I think that's where we can kind of spin this now to what we're moving forward with is how do the Mets get out of this, right? How do the Mets move forward? How do we make these next 50 games actually matter and show that this is a capable team that can make a run in the playoffs, make the playoffs? That's a legitimate thing that the Mets have to worry about now is making the playoffs.
I think there's a real conversation about the spark plug element of this because I think it's true because there's no spark left on the offense unless David Stearns just wants to go dummy and just put Carson Bench on this team like full Michael Conforto
which would be
style.
The spark plug.
Yeah, that could be a spark plug. But that's also I just think
that's a dog.
That's just not what. That's not definitely. I don't think something he would do. Also, just while we have you guys here, we're going to another episode this week. Mark and I were kind of in between 2 options: either rehashing our top 10 prospects in the system after the trade deadline, or if you guys want to get crazy with us, redoing the trade deadline and out of the park baseball, and then simming the rest of the season, seeing if we could win the World Series. So those are the 2 options for an episode that'll probably come out for you guys on Saturday. So whatever gets more YouTube comments or YouTube comment that gets more likes from those 2 options, you guys let us know down below. And that's the episode we're going to record either Thursday or Friday. We'll see that. But it probably is time. They just have to. But we still have keep talking about the fact that there's not really actual space. I think if Frankie wants us, I guess this is how we'll transition to the to the Brewers series preview here. If Frankie Montas shows up on Saturday evening and just gets lit up again, he's probably going to go in the Phantom IL. I think we can pretty confidently say that.
I mean, is that time for the DraftKings player spotlight for Frankie Montas?
You want to do it? We just push in on Frankie Montas, but we go all in over 14 and a half outs.
DraftKings player spotlight, Frankie Montas. Here we go.
It's kind of put up or shut up time for Frankie Montas, and we've been, I think me specifically, like I'm like the only Frankie Montas defender left. I think that he's just not awful. I think that he's being scapegoated for a rotation that really, at the end of the day, and I keep saying this, like it's to me, it's a lot more about Senga and Manaea right now, and a tiny bit Peterson on Wednesday. But I'm not blaming Dave Peterson for really anything this year. It's just those were the guys who we knew had to be the big three, like in the biggest air quotes ever, like a big three to be like the most big three we could have, because they all are pretty good pitchers. Then it was really just about Montas and Holmes to kind of soak up the back end and give us the splash starts and just get us through 5, hopefully 6 once in a while. But I think Frankie Montas gets through 5 innings, 2 runs on Saturday. I'll tell you that right now. That's my bold prediction.
Yeah, I mean, I would take a look at the outs recorded, see how low it gets. I think it's going to be pretty low. Frankie Montas hasn't gone 5 innings in his last 2 starts, so we're looking at a total of 8 1/3 over his last 2 appearances, which is pretty bad. He's only pitched up to like 92 pitches over the last few games. I mean, the cynical person in me is like, take the under. I feel like there's no shot that Frankie Montas goes more than 5 innings. It doesn't seem like that's really in the realm of possibility right now.
You got to zig when they zag.
But that's exactly, you got to zig when they zag. So we'll be taking the over on Frankie Montas outs because, like you said, he almost has to. There's kind of no other option. Yeah,
kind of, but also he does have a contract for next year. So there is another option because he will be fine at the end of the day. But it is a situation where these athletes have so much pride. And Frankie Montas has had moments where he's flashed at least being a passable 3-starter for a good chunk of his career. And it did seem like he had a good start against that Angels team in that game 2 weeks ago. And then that Padres game, it was 4 good innings before a complete mental breakdown. And then the following up of a mental breakdown, that game against the Giants, where he gave up the home run, and then the Mets made a couple of mistakes on the infield, and then the wheels spun out. So this is about Frankie Montas focusing himself back up and getting himself into a situation where he can just mentally get himself to restart, because frankly, the team needs it. Yeah, it's just, I hate to be the ESPN guys, but it's time to step up.
It's time to be that guy, Frankie Montas. But yeah, it's our player spotlight. It's a weird one. We normally go pretty positive. This one's like, hey, the spotlight's literally on you. You got to do something for us, Frankie. We need you, Frankie.
It's a literal player spotlight.
Yeah, literally a spotlight on him, guys. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Honestly, great value. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Get that money, boys. Go get you some. Ciao, DraftKings. All right, let's talk about this Brewers series.
Yep, rest of the pitching matchup. So, bit of an ace-off Friday night at 8:10. Kind of a nice time. Just take us through a night there for a Friday game. Kodai Senga versus Brandon Woodruff. Told you guys. Saturday, 7:10. Weird to have an 8 and a 7 back-to-back in the same series. Frankie Montas versus Logan Henderson, who I'm excited to talk about. And then Sunday, matinee, 2 p.m., Sean Manaea versus Quinn Priester. We hope that's an ace-off.
Yeah, so opposite of the Mets, the Brewers get on base. They have the 3rd highest on base percentage in baseball at .329. Even with Juan Soto, that is significantly better than the Mets. They don't slug better, we know that, but their OPS is still better than the Mets, or it's right around there, 725. They get hits, they get on base, they play good defense, they run, they pitch well. It's a very good baseball team.
No, the Brewers are constructed in a hilarious way, where right now they're having the best season in franchise history. This is the quickest as a team they've ever gotten to 70 wins. And also from OptaStats today, the Brewers are the first team in MLB history to have a road trip of any length where they scored 50-plus runs, didn't lose a game, and didn't commit an error. So they're coming home after doing that.
Cool. Yeah. That sounds really good for the Mets.
Which is really fun. And again, like I said,
when you zig, we zag.
First team to 70 in baseball, quickest they've been to 70 in franchise history. And when you look at this lineup, you're going to be like, what are you talking about? Because it's Sal Frelick, it's Isaac Collins, it's Andrew Vaughn, it's Blake Perkins, Bryce Terang. They got someone named Anthony Siegler playing third base. Joey Ortiz.
Former Yankees prospect, okay.
Also Caleb Durbin, former Yankees prospect. Brandon Lockridge, the guy we've made fun of a lot from the Padres on this team. Like, it's a lineup.
Andrew Monasterio still kicking it up there in the majors?
Oh, Andrew Monasterio's utility infielder on the bench nonstop, of course. Danny Jansen, the much maligned Danny Jansen, the backup catcher. It's it's an absolute who's who of nonsense baseball players that the Brewers have just turned into an absolutely scalding, stupid hot lineup right now.
And similarly to a lot of teams that we played recently, if the Mets don't score runs early in this game, they will not win because this bullpen is one of the best in baseball. Trevor McGill, probably one of the most underrated pitchers in baseball. When that guy's good and going, he's unbelievable. He's so good. He's the better McGill, unfortunately, for us Mets fans.
Trevor McGill also, he had a really rough start to his season. If you guys remember, there were some murmurs about him being taken out of the closer role. There was some issues just with him. Remember that Yankee series also his Brewers team played? People were like, this team is falling apart. Trevor McGill has given up almost no runs since like the middle of April. His ERA is about to be under 2, and where are we at right now? It was a 3-run, 6-8 game on April 12th. It was another run he gave up on April 26th. It was another run he gave up on May. It was June. Wow, he's giving up like nothing. This guy's unbelievable. This guy's so damn good. But he's awesome. When you get to the back of the bullpen, it's also a demon. Abney Uribe, one of Mark and I's favorites. Jared Koenig's the lefty who just throws 100 miles an hour now because the Brewers just do that every few years. Nick Mears, Aaron Ashby's coming back. Like, it's just, they're just relentless back there.
Yeah, no, they're really good. And on the starting pitching side, Brandon Woodruff, coming back from injury, has been pretty unbelievable. Pretty ridiculously good.
So much credit to Brandon Woodruff where it's due. He's coming back from a really serious shoulder injury, the capsule tear, which is the thing that Kodai Senga strained a few years ago, which is why they were so careful with Kodai Senga last year. They were so careful with Kodai Senga last year. Brandon Woodruff has lost like 4 miles an hour, lost the board, and he's probably never getting those 4 miles an hour back. So as he was rehabbing, he just developed a cutter, and now he's just like a feel guy, change up fastball, sinker, cutter, just kind of mixing it all up around the zone.
But also still striking out more people than like he ever has.
He's doing it, though, by working low in the zone. He used to be a high in the zone guy. Like, he used to be, like, the bulldog. Like, Brandon Woodruff used to, mean mug you and throw 99 miles an hour at your face and try to hit it. I dare you. But now he's different. And it's so much credit to a professional like that. Again, he just developed his cutter out in there. He did not have a cutter before. And as he's lost all of his velo and this stuff, he's like, I need to get this cutter back. And then all the pitchers in this series are interesting. Logan Henderson, he has like a 30% strikeout rate and a cup of coffee this year and like a 1.5 ERA, but the Brewers have so many starting pitchers. They're like, we got no space. Now he's back up because Jacob Mizrachi needed a 2-week break so he could have enough innings to pitch in the playoffs. They said he's going in the IL with a shin bruise, Jacob Mizrachi.
Yeah, would you bump his leg on his bed walking around the corner?
I mean, he is like this thin, so I guess that could actually really bruise him badly, a guy like Mizrachi, but it's just the Brewers just storing a guy like Henderson in the minor leagues like this, just come back up and like give him a few weeks of starts is incredible. Then Quinn Priester, come out of nowhere this year with some of the best stats in the National League. He's like this year's Tobias Myers, where it's just so much junk.
Really used them. Boston Red Sox traded him away,
or the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah, either of them. I mean, Pirates have actually been pitching kind of well, starting pitching wise.
But I don't think Quinn Priester does this with a team that's not the Brewers because they are so good with this archetype of pitcher of just let's just junk your way to being like a 2.5 ERA for a season. The next year you might suck, but in the season you're in, you're dominant.
Fun fact about Quinn Priester has the highest win-loss percentage in Major League Baseball. He's 11-2.
It's incredible. And then, because the Brewers always seem to do this, Isaac Collins. You hip to Isaac Collins right now?
Well, he's a switch hitter, right? And from one side he hits for power, and from the other side he's like a slap-hitting on-base machine. I'm sure a lot of Mets fans are remembering that name, Isaac Collins. You're like, oh my God, Isaac Collins. He has coming out party in that game against the Mets that we blew in that day game against Reed Garrett. But yeah, it's a 74 mile an hour swing speed from the right side, 72 from the left side. So still above average from both, but it's many more fast swings and it's a much longer swing from the right versus the left. But overall, it's come out to an 800 OPS and like really good.
And he never chases from either side. He knows when the pitches are coming in. So he's a 28-year-old 9th round pick from Creighton, and he's just been a plus player all year. He's in third for them most days now.
It's like a really sneaky Rookie of the Year pick right now.
He sneakily actually probably is the favorite in the National League if you look at the rookies in the National League at this moment.
Let's see. What's DraftKings got? I'll give him another low shouter here. I'll look up the DraftKings Rookie of the Year odds. You can keep talking about the Brewers if you got anything else.
I get this team is just relentless. Like, and you're going to be so annoyed. Like, luckily we're playing them now. Tell me.
Isaac Collins is plus 235 right now. Drake Baldwin is still the favorite, but that's some pretty good value on Isaac Collins there, plus 235.
That's pretty good, especially because I'm sure he's going to have a higher WAR, and the Rookie of the Year has become a bit of a WAR award the last few years. Nice that it's going to be a cool strength for a strength matchup because the Mets are still, it's hard to talk about Mets strengths right now, one of the best teams in the league at limiting stolen bases. The Brewers run like nobody's fucking business, and it's a good moment to talk about something we've talked about with Francisco Lindor playing through this broken toe and not being there. William Contreras, you look at his stats this year, they objectively suck, but he fractured his thumb early this season. He was like, I don't care. I'm just going to play through it. I'm the catcher. Like, I'm the man. So he's had a bad season statistically. But what's happened in the last few weeks, it seems like it's healed because he's raised the OPS like 70 points in about 3 weeks of baseball, including a game last Friday where he went 5 for 7 and became the first player in the StatCast era. And I'm just going to go out on a limb and say the first player in the history of baseball to have 6 batted balls that were hit harder than 104 miles an hour in the same game.
I think you'd be pretty safe in saying that he's the first.
I was covering it for NBC Sports. I was like, holy shit. I was like, no one's ever done this before. And I was like, oh, wow, no one's ever done this before. It was awesome. But yeah, William Contreras, probably the first player in baseball history to have 6 batted balls hit harder than 101 miles per hour in the same game.
Good baseball team, maybe one of the best in the league. Playing like it, that's for sure. I mean, top to bottom, this is a clean, solid, fundamental team. Pat Murphy has really got these guys playing well. Great manager. Shout out Pat Murphy. Also, just a good vibes guy too. Elite vibes. I think he keeps a pancake in his pocket. I saw a clip of that. So
he's got pancakes on the go.
As many vibes as the Brewers have, the Mets have none. But hey, we knocked them out of the playoffs last year in that stadium in Milwaukee. Maybe it sparked something for them.
And I think we're still the last team to beat them in a 3-game series. I'm not even kidding about that. The series that we beat them into the field, but we had that one completely dramatic, horrible loss. Double checking right now. Oh, actually, no, it's just us and the Marlins.
Don't let the Marlins get hot. Not James's Marlins right there.
Literally James Marlins. I told you guys in May, I was like, I'm worried about Francisco Lindor, and I think the Marlins are actually a really good baseball team. I fucking nailed those takes somehow. But this has been a long-ass episode. Thank you guys all so much for the voicemails. Appreciate that. Appreciate that we can open the doors like that, and you guys are willing and receptive to contribute to the show. Like, that's kind of the best part about all this. And again, hit us up in the comments whether you want an out-of-the-park baseball, virtual, same of the second half of the season, redo the trade deadline, or Mark and I's top 10 prospects for a Saturday upload. But
also, sorry that we didn't get to everyone's voicemail. I mean, we're an hour in.
Yeah, we're an hour in, and there were like 30 voicemails. It was a lot. But we got Frankie Peppers to close this out.
Gentlemen, this is Frankie Peppers. How you doing?
Hey,
that stunk. We stink. Our offense stinks. Our pitching, starting pitching, stinks. I always try and bring a positive air to these Instagrams, but we got one hit today. How do you remain positive after getting one hit? You remain positive because the boys and I went to go get some food. Mark, James, I had a lovely time hanging out with you and Jake afterwards. And shout out to Isaac as well. All the friends who I was able to say hi to at the ballpark today. It's really special. And for those of you wondering, Mark and James actually don't talk to each other outside of the podcast. They get paid to work together, and they don't talk to each other. They're not friends in real life. I'm only joking. They're wonderful people. They're really good friends, and I'm very grateful to have gotten to spend some time with them. All right, boys. I hope the voicemail episode was good, and I will talk to you soon, hopefully after a better series coming up. Let's go, Mets. Take care as always, boys.
Big shout out, Frankie Peppers. We did get to spend some time with him at Arepas Cafe in Astoria. If you like arepas, if you like Venezuelan food, this is a declaration, a vouch. You got to eat there. We got Venezuelan friends they swear by, and the food will put you in a coma. It's absolutely delicious. So if you're in Astoria, Arepas Cafe. Also, we didn't get to rant about after the game, James. Real quick, shout out Frankie Peppers. Drove us there. Shout out having a car. But what was the whole reason why we needed a ride there, James? What was going on after the game? What was there a lack of?
So after this game, we had some friends at the park, and we were just dying to get.
Shout out B Ford.
Shout out B Ford. Shout out Jake. Shout out Isaac. We were just dying to have a beer because we know there's not going to be super express trains during the day game. So we're like, we just want to let the crowds dissipate. Just want to have one brewski by the ballpark and then be on a road, get some dinner, and then go home so we could podcast and I could work and all this stuff. The 2 bars that the Mets have that both leave so much to be desired were closed.
Yeah, K Corner closed pre and post game. Apparently, it's only Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays. It's only the weekends. It was saying that after the game, you can go there, which is crazy. Just losing money, absolutely pissing away money, which is crazy. And then Ebbs, which I don't know what their deal is. I don't think it's been open at all this year. I feel like I haven't seen Ebbs open at all. What's going on? How is this even possible?
And then at the same time, it's just like it's really a great. It just feels so easy to do this. Just have the bar and get the people there because we're there. We want to do it, and especially after these day games, it's such a mess getting out of there because if you drive to the day games, you get trapped in rush hour. If you take the train from the day games, all of the trains, the 7 trains, which this is not something we're complaining about, but they're all in Manhattan, taking everyone from Manhattan back to Queens after work. So it's like getting out of a music festival to get onto a 7-line train after that game, unless you rush out of your seats and get there. So it would have been a great day to have those bars open. Everyone can spend 45 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, 2-3 beers, whatever you want to do with your night, your evening there.
Water. Drink some water.
Anything. Have a cup, some French fries, a pretzel, like any
fries.
Any place for the Mets fans to hang out after that game and let those crowds dissipate would have been great. And there's also one more thing I want to talk about that happened in this game. That's been happening at Citi Field this week. We've talked about a lot in this podcast over the years. There's been a dog that has been, or I'm sure a few dogs that have been trapped sitting there just making money for some grifter, some jerk off.
Fuck that guy.
Some asshole in front of that stadium.
Messed up declaration. Fuck that guy.
Absolutely. The Messed Up is the first proud pro-dog Mets podcast on the internet. But there's been a brave guy over there, so I've been following up with him on Reddit. His name is Darth Butcher. He's kind of funny. He's wearing like a dog nose and dog ears, but then he's having people donate to the ASPCA while he's standing right in front of the guy, staring at his dog, wearing a shock collar, where the shock range is like a 2 inches in every single direction, so that poor dog can't move. It's basically being tortured day in, day out for this grifter to make a few bucks, and it's ridiculous. And the Mets have said they can't do anything about it because that is city land, but it's also just there. It's been since we were kids that this guy's been out there with, I guess, a series of dogs at this point, unless it's one really sad old dog, which just makes me want to cry. But it's the fact that this is being perpetuated for this long, it makes me sick. So if you guys aren't following along, the New York Mets subreddit, Darth Butcher, has been a couple posts this week that have tons of upvotes. They're getting a lot of steam, and he's been working, trying to get money for the ASPCA and just trying to bring attention to this issue that's been happening for a very long time.
Simply put, if there's anything that you can do, if you're going to take a picture with the dog, I would suggest against it because, again, that dog is working against its own will. It's being told to work, and it's generating money for this grifter and this asshole who's just punishing this dog for basically existing. Give the dog a hug. Give it some water. If you're going to go show it any sort of attention, don't make it monetary towards this guy because I'm promising you it's not going towards that dog.
No, it's been years. So I am happy that someone is taking a stand, and it's cruel and it's horrible.
Fuck that guy. Fuck this series. Negativity gone. We're done. That's it. No more mopey Mark. No more mopey James. No more angry. No more sad. Play better baseball, and we get good podcasting back and good baseball. I'm excited for it, guys. That's it for this episode of the Mets Up Podcast. Long one. Very long, but we got to get it out. We had to spew. It's like the episode of Rick and Morty when you got to get like the toxic version of yourself out. You just got to throw it out of there, and hopefully we did. Hopefully we opened your eyes to some things. Fire Eric Chavez, whatever it is. I don't think he's going anywhere, but maybe he will. Who knows? Maybe I'll wake up in the morning and be very surprised. But
maybe they'll Willie Randolph him, fly him out, then fire him.
That's sad. All right. I got nothing to say to that. You know what I want to say. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. Make sure you follow us on all our social media at Mets'd Up on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to the Mets'd Up Podcast YouTube channel if you want to see the video version of this. If you are listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. You can follow James on social media at
James Schiano.
I'm Draft Mark with a C. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. We will catch you all in the next episode. Peace out. Let's go Mets.
Peace out, guys. Let's go Mets.